Hey guys, Dr. Scott Gray here, and I'm super excited today to share with you really the number one way to get stem cell regenerative patients into your practice. And let's see, sorry about that, guys. I have things popping up here in 2026. And I want to share with you how we've done this over the last 10 years and how we do this to really help our clients grow their practices now. So I'll give you a little bit of my background and kind of jump into this. Like I said, my name is Dr. Scott Gray, and I've scaled three practices to seven figures in my time as a doctor, and I've grown a couple businesses to eight figures. Those are ones that I'm actually still part of. Sold one business in 2017 and worked with hundreds of doctors to help them grow their practice, and that's what I love to do. That's why I'm here today to share with you really how we help docs do this to model the systems that I used to get my practices to those levels. I'm going to jump right in, you guys, and make this super valuable to you. One of the things I'm going to go into is literally give you a script word for word in this that doubled my closing percentages with my patients. So we'll get into that today and a lot of other great information. So let's just go ahead and dive right in. Again, like I said, my goal is to help doctors scale all over the country. We've done this in virtually every state across the country. So it doesn't really matter where you are, what you've done before this. We've taken guys that were totally new to regenerative medicine, like up in the top left there, Dr. Jones, to guys that had done it for a long time, like Dr. Bupp and Dr. Brunk there. But a couple disclaimers before we get going. First of all, I'm not a guru. I'm not, any kind of like special smart guy or anything like that. Really, what I'm sharing with you is just real world business, real world, how to scale and grow a business. Like this is just uh, logical stuff. It's nothing special. And I'm not going to make any income claims because you may have seen in some of the things that we've sent out. My biggest client that uses my materials did over $3 million last month. So they did awesome with it. But there's also docs that I've taught all this stuff to. They licensed my materials and they did nothing with it and literally got a big fat goose egg with it, right? So it's all in the hands of the person that takes it. And I'm going to talk a little bit about why that happens and what you can do to, really help elevate your success and whatnot. But what I'll tell you is this works. This works at a massive level if you want to implement it. And one of the things too is that we do still test this. We still do marketing for offices and different companies and groups that do this. And so we're always improving this. This isn't outdated stuff. This isn't things that we come up with in theory and, oh, that might work or that might do good. We only show you things that we've used that have been proven. So that's a little bit about how we lay out our material. And like I was saying before, there's no magic formula. This is something that, if the right person takes it and puts in the effort and uses it, you can do amazing things if you just follow the system. And again, this is what I've learned from experience, no theory here. This is all just facts and how we've done it. And we're going to give you a little bit of a fire hose today. We're going to give you a lot of information, but you're going to have usable, like I said, literally a script after this that you can use to grow your business and some other things that will help you grow as well. So diving right in. First of all, what's the problem with most docs that we talked about? Really, it's that they sign up with a marketing company and they say, we're going to get you tons of leads at this price and we're going to put content on your website, but that never turns into patients, right? It's like, hey, I got you 100 leads, and you're sitting there like, well, I nobody started care, so that doesn't really matter, right? So where's the disconnect? Why is it that some people can get leads and end up with patients? Some people can get leads, end up with no patients. Is it the area? Is it, what is it? We'll dive into that. You'll understand that fully by the end of this presentation. The next one is no time. So many doctors that I talk to, they want to grow their practice, but they're busy hiring staff, firing staff, training staff, dealing with patients, doing consults, doing treatments, all these different things that are on your plate. And that's where I was back in 2016, 2017 is when I really started to think to myself, I need to figure out leverage. I read a book called The E-Myth where they talked about the entrepreneurial myth of we think we're entrepreneurs, but if we're the one in our business doing everything, we're not really entrepreneurs. We're really a servant to our business, and we have to be there to make it happen. Therefore, we have no time. And so, what we're going to do to today is talk to you about how do you get your time back, because that's really my biggest passion is giving doctors their time back. Yes, we want to grow the revenue, but you have to do that to be able to buy your time back, right? So we're going to show you that because life is about being able to have a great business, but also have time with friends and family, travel, and all those things we want to do, and consistent lead flow. Why is it that so many companies maybe start really great and then they drop off? And it's like they can never get that initial momentum back. We're going to talk a little bit about that and really confused how to set it all up. A lot of people just maybe you've done it with a company where they just kind of give you the information, you're trying to figure it all out, and all these different software companies and all these different things you have to have going. There can be a lot of confusion in that. And that's, again, one of the things we like to help you with. And just no system, right? It's like the worst thing that I could do is give someone a ton of leads if they're not ready to deal with those leads, if they don't know what to do, if they don't have a system of when a lead happens, we do this and then X and then Y and then Z, and you don't know what that next step is. You don't see the full funnel, which I'm going to show you here in a second, of from the time you get a lead to when they become a patient and then pay, stay, and refer. Okay, so we're going to kind of go through that whole timeline of what that looks like. So I want to share with you a quote from one of my earliest mentors back in early 2000s. Dan Kennedy is a marketing guru. He said, "The marketer who educates the market owns the market. If you control the education, you control the buying criteria." And so that's the whole concept of what we do. Most people are doing it where they just get leads and they don't control the conversation and the education all the way through the process so that it sets you up as the only one in your area to give the person that treatment. So we're going to talk about how, I kind of took this quote and said, how do I apply that to my practice? And that's what we did. That's what our system is taking this and making it real for a doctor's practice. So first of all, how do we start getting cash influxes in the next few days? Well, the first thing that we have to start with is our mindset. One of the biggest problems that we deal with when we work with offices is a scarcity mindset. Now, it could be the doctor or it could be staff members, right? It could be either one, could be both. And typically what we're dealing with is a little bit of a poverty mindset, whether the doctor doesn't believe in the value of what they're selling, so they sell it for too little, or they don't believe in it enough to where they get nervous when they talk about money because they're feeling like they're doing something that's really not on par with what they should be delivering for that money. That's a huge problem. That's a huge problem in the doctor's head. And as they say with golf and any sport and anything you do at a high level, what's really important is what goes on in between your ears. It starts with your mindset and really believing that patients need this, believing that they can find the money. I always believed in myself that, look, if someone is in enough pain, they're going to figure out whatever they can do to get that money to fix that problem, right? That's really the premise of everything that we do. If something happened to one of my kids and I had to come up with X amount of dollars and I didn't have it, I'm figuring out how to get that money. And if you think to yourself, how do I get someone in the mindset that this is such a big problem that they have to do something about it today? They can't wait. They can't think about it. They don't need to go talk to their spouse. It is, I have to do this. Okay. So that's part of the mindset shift. The other thing I talked about was staff members, right? So a lot of our staff members many times can be on that level where, you bring these things into your office and they're like, oh, how can we charge that much? Or have you ever had a patient come into your office and your staff says, there's no way they can afford it, right? It's all these kind of it's little sayings like that. It's those things that are just seeds of just being a loser, right? To prejudge somebody, one of the things that I learned a long time ago, you can never convert someone to your way of thinking if you are judging them. And how many of our staff members have judged patients before we even talk to them, just by looking at them, just by whatever it is. And so the mindset shift has to happen within us. It's top down, right? Anytime you go into a restaurant and there's bad service, what I always think is it's not that waiter, it's the management, it's the people who are overseeing them. It's the mindset that they lay out to their people. And that's how everybody acts in the business. So we have to start first as doctors to bring an abundance mindset, the value of what we're doing, the fact that people need to do this, can do this, and they'll find a way to do it if they want to do it, right? So that's really the beginning of it. And then the next thing that we have to get into here is our moonshot goal. Our moonshot goal is something that is down the road. And I don't know if you've set up your 2026 goals or what you've done, but what I do with my moonshot is think of it like obviously JFK back in the day had the goal of, hey, we're going to get to the moon by this date, no matter what, we're going to make it happen. But what's the nuance of that? And the most important thing about that is the fact that they had no clue how to do it, right? And if you have a goal for 2026 or a goal for the next 3 years, and it's your big moonshot, and you're like, I'm going to do X, Y, and Z to get there, and you know exactly how you're going to do it, that's not a moonshot goal. That may be a stretch goal, but that's not really shooting for the stars. Your goal should be so big that you're thinking to yourself, I have no clue how I'm going to achieve it, but I'm going to take action every single day to get there. So, you know, it goes back to our mission and our vision of what we see down the road and how big we actually want to think. So what I want to tell you and share with you is that your goal should be so big that you don't know how to get there. And if you don't know how to get there already, that's awesome. You have big goals. But if you feel like you have a pretty good plan on how to get there, you need to step that goal up. And the next thing is leverage curve thinking. This whole program and everything that we do and teach is all about leverage curve. So many people know that 20% of what you do creates 80% of your results, right? The old Pareto principle. But a lot of people don't chunk that down. So it's like, okay, this little 20% is going to get me 80%. Well, inside that 20%, there's another 20%. And inside that 20%, there's another 20%. And what it comes down to is about 2% of what you do creates 51% of your results, like 1 to 2% of what you do. So what are those big leverage curve goals? Many times when I implement this in doctors' offices, they're worried about everything. They're trying to get every part of the system in place before they start. And that's just nuts. What we work with docs on is focus on this week, get this done. Focus on this week, get this done. And what's going to happen is there are things that don't get done, but you have to be okay with that because you're focused on the leverage curve things, the leverage curve items that need to be checked off the list so that you can actually get to where you want to go. If you're trying to get all the little things done that really don't make that big of a change in your business, you are going to grow so slow. It's going to be a slow, horrible, arduous process that you're not going to like. So first of all, how do we do this? A perfect presentation. You're like, oh, great, Dr. Scott. Yeah, I've done presentations and whatnot. But here's the thing that I realize with most docs that I've worked with is that they maybe have a presentation and they've maybe delivered it. But is it a perfect presentation that has all the components that you need to be able to start with 30 people in a room and have 20 of them sign up? If your presentation's not doing that, it is not a perfect presentation, right? And my biggest example with this is George Foreman. Rick Cesari is the guy who did the George Foreman infomercial for the George Foreman Grill. When they first started it, they were really focused on, hey, it's George Foreman. Let's talk about his knockouts and his heavyweight career, heavyweight champion, and all this stuff. I don't know if you know this, but the George Foreman Grill was a huge failure at the beginning. It was tanking. And then what they found as they started to look at it, they found that every time George Foreman took a bite, they figured out that sales would spike when he would eat. And so what they started doing is adding in more cooking. They started adding in more him eating and sharing food with people. Because guess what? The target market was people that are home cooking. It's not boxers. It's not fighters, right? And it was the wrong message because the market was not a match. Okay. So how do we get a perfect presentation that creates a match to our people so that we have, 2/3 of the people signing up at the end? One of the worst things that I can hear at a presentation at the end, oh, that's a great presentation, Dr. Scott. That was so informative. That was wonderful. Well, what they're telling you is that was nice. I had a good dinner. I'm out of here. You didn't do anything to change their mind. You didn't do anything to get them emotional. You didn't do anything to get them excited. So I don't want people to tell me how good of a presentation I did. I want people to sign up for an appointment at the end. That's the only thing that matters. I, so a lot of docs will be like, everyone loved it. Everyone loved it. No, that's a cop out. That's a cop out by people that didn't get emotionally involved, and the presentation did not shift their paradigm the way that it should to get them to want to take action. Um, and I just talked about this with the poverty and scarcity mindset and the abundance mindset. We've got to have team alignment. And A++ players on your team are so huge. It's one of those things where, have you ever had that gut feeling where you have someone on your team that it's like, man, I don't know if they're working out. I don't know how we're going to do. And then we keep them around month after month after month. And then finally, it's like, oh my gosh, like I have to let this person go. Then you finally do it. Then all of a sudden, the rest of the team's excited. It's like we're walking on clouds. Everyone's having a great time in the office. And guess what happens when that happens? Everything goes up in the office, right? So you have to realize that those people are holding your practice back. They are holding you back. And we've got to have what my mentor tells me, have the courage to do what your emotions are telling you not to do in your business. Okay. I want to say that again. Have the courage to do the things in your business that your emotions are telling you not to do. Oh, what are they going to do if I let them go? Oh, what are we going to do in the office if I let them go? How are we going to cover that? People are going to step up. It's going to be a great thing. Now, here's the other thing I want to say about this. You never want on your team where people feel like they can't speak up. I'm not saying that A++ people are going to agree with everything that you say. They're not. If they're A++, they're probably not. Okay. You want people to be able to have good conversation and discussion and be heard, right? And let them know that you hear them and understand. But when you make the decision as the leader in your business, they have to say, yeah, I don't know if this is going to work, but I'm on board with you 100%, and I want to see this thing succeed. I'm going to go with you. I trust you, and we're going to make this happen. So as long as everyone's in the same boat, going the same direction, this can work. If you've got people on your team that are talking behind your back to the other staff and like, I can't believe we're doing this again. I can't believe we're trying something new, blah, 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 blah. Like that's going to kill your opportunity. You're going to work your butt off and your team's going to be sabotaging you on the back end. And the next thing is a proven marketing strategy. And when I say that, a lot of people think like, oh, like, yeah, people run ads for us or get leads or do this or that. I'm going to show you really what the full marketing strategy looks like. And it's way more than advertising. It's way more than leads. This includes your team. This includes your presentation. It includes every part of it from lead to happy patient that's staying, paying, and referring. Okay. So how can I help you get results the quickest? I want to take you through really my 3 steps to freedom formula that I did that took me from, going into the office at 6 a.m., finishing up notes from the previous day, getting ready for the day, treating patients, going out and doing talks, going home at 8 o'clock at night. I did that for a long time, but I hated it and figured out how to get out of it. And now, I'm able to do all this with unlimited time to be able to help other doctors and everything. So I want to show you how to do that. So how can I help you scale without the stress? Well, you're going to have, excuse me, let me move this. You're going to have the option to go out and execute this on your own. I'm going to show you how to do it. Okay. So I'm not one of those people that tries to like hide everything. I'm literally going to give you word for word exactly what I say to get people to sign up here in a minute. But we can help you do it too, but you can also take this and just do it on your own. So you're going to walk away today with something that you can just put in right away and use. So if you want to see what we do, if you really want to see the in-depth process of everything, if you go to the regen-profits.com/invite, there's a green button there where you can fill out a survey. But you can also watch a video where Ed and I are talking about this program and what we do. And Ed is actually on this call with us today. He's a really good friend of mine. He's built a eight-figure supplement company. He's also helped several dentists with high dollar cases. And so we've got quite the team here. Ed's probably going to jump in a couple times here today and just say, hey, Scott, have you thought about this? Or let's share this. So you'll probably hear him jump in a little bit as well. But if you want to check out that video, you can watch that as well and sign up on the survey there. But what are the 3 steps to freedom? Step 1, doing a webinar or in-person presentation. And when I say that, what I'm saying is the perfect presentation. And we're going to dive into more detail here in just a second. So why does this work so well? What's the magic of a perfect presentation? Well, it's going to be speed to trust. There's nothing that increases trust more than meeting with people one-on-one. So, and another thing about this, you can do this on your own. But if you're like, I don't give presentations, I don't want to give presentations, we can also talk to you about how to hire people as a case manager that go out and do this for you. That's what I did. I did these for several years, got sick of doing it, and I found someone that worked on commission only to go out and do this so that you don't have to do it on your own. But that speed to trust and them connecting with your office through a human being, face to face, talking, there's nothing that beats that. No online, class, just a phone call with your staff. This is the best way to do it. And
Hey,
they walk
Scott.
away oh yeah, Ed.
Yeah, hey, Scott, while you're out, I just wanted to hammer that point home because one of the things that when we lose people on this point of like, well, I'm not really good on camera or I'm not really good presenting, I always like to tell people like, well, Dr. Scott is not an extrovert, number one. He's doing amazing. He's amazing on in front of people, but it's because they trust him and they fall in love with his personality and his energy, and we'll show you exactly how to do that as well. But number two is his freedom formula was when he decided, hey, I'm going to actually bring somebody in to do this for me. And last month, his client that did like 3.3 million, I think it was actually in November, not last month, but they went all in on just leveraging through other people. So that is something we'll cover here shortly. But I always like encouraging people like stay tuned because um, the goal is not to just give you another job, which is to run events. The goal is actually to give you 30 hours of your life back a month by having someone else do it and fill your practice with high cash paying patients. So anyhow, back to you,
Well,
Scott.
good point, Ed. Yeah, awesome, man. And that's true. I'm an introvert. If you met anyone from my youth, the fact that I get up in front of people and speak would shock a lot of them. Pre-educated, obviously getting them pre-educated, but getting them educated in the right way. I'm not talking about giving them science and research and they understand how the body works and all that. You're going to see how we pre-educate people in just a second here, and it creates emotional buyers. Everybody knows this, that people buy on emotion and they back it up with logic. So we're going to give them enough logic, but it's the emotional pieces in this and the stories placed in specific places with specific messages with nuance to be able to get them to start flipping their mind into what you are talking about and getting them excited to try it themselves. And then the paid consultation. I started doing paid consultations. I used to do free, but eventually I started doing paid consultations. And if you already do it, great. But if you don't, you really want to switch over to this. And I learned this a long time ago. Ryan Dice from Digital Marketer taught me that he said, hey, when that person pays even $1, that goes from a prospect to a customer. And changing from a prospect to a customer where they've already given you money totally changes the dynamic and the relationship between you and that person. So you definitely want to do paid consults. And if you have a perfect presentation, they're going to have no problem paying. Okay, that's not going to be an objection. That's not going to be anything that where there's an issue. Because think of it this way: if they're super emotional, but they can't afford, say $40 to come in, it's probably not the right person anyway, right? So, okay. So how does one-to-many selling not work? If you've done talks and it hasn't worked and this you didn't get the results you wanted, well, I've made a lot of mistakes with this, and I'm going to share a few of these, actually four of them specifically, that really you want to avoid. So the first one is I've got a little picture of me doing a talk. Like this is literally 10 years ago, or no, 20 years ago. Crap. But not being personable and getting to know the audience. And just like Ed said, I'm an introvert. And the one thing I did is I went and talked to every single person before the talk because I wanted to try to find something in common with each person before I talk. So I wasn't a stranger up there when I started talking. If you're not a stranger when you start talking, they're automatically more involved. And so this is literally simple things. You guys, being an introvert, I literally didn't even know what to say to people. I was buying books called like How to Communicate with People, How to Make People Like You in 90 Seconds or Less. And so it's just, where do you work? Where are you from? How long you done that? Talk about sports teams, whatever. It doesn't have to be medical or anything. Get to know them and just relate to them on some level. Find one thing in common with them. If you find one thing in common with them, even if it's where you're from or whatever, that changes the playing field. Number two, lecturing as a doctor about science and research. And obviously, I've already alluded to that. If your talk is all about regenerative medicine, functional medicine, the science, you will bore them to tears. They're not going to get emotional and they're going to be like, hey, great presentation. I learned a lot. Thanks. And you'll never see them again. Okay. Poverty mindset. So, what I mean by that, so my mentor told me, Scott, you can tell me that you have a good attitude about money, abundance, poverty, but if your results are showing me differently, then your attitude's not right. And I had to take that to heart and think to myself, okay, you're right. Like if I can say all I want that I feel like people can figure out how to find the money and do this and whatnot. But if my results weren't showing that, obviously something still is not right inside me. There still is a poverty mindset. And that's something we all have to fight, right? A lot of us were raised thinking money doesn't grow on trees and all this different stuff. And life's got to be hard. The news, like don't watch the news. And you have to get yourself an abundance mindset. And you'll know you're there once your results start showing it. And then the last thing is a weak close or none at all. And a lot of people may say, oh, I do a close. I give them an offer at the end. I'm going to show you my close today. And I'm going to show you it word for word. And I'm going to show you exactly what to do to be able to get people to sign up at the end. And I think you're going to love it. This is probably one of the number one things I've trained docs on that's given them the biggest jump. It gave me the biggest jump in my practice because I had poverty mindset. And so when I got to the end and I was asking for money and talking about money, I got real weird and nervous and it would screw everything up. Even if I had the perfect presentation, I would screw everything up right there because I would get all weird about money. Okay. And it's not anything you say, it's facial expressions, it's nervous, it's anxiety, it's whatever it is. Your body's explaining all of that to the people right in front of you. Okay. So this is very important. The close actually makes it super easy to do it so that anxiety goes away. So I'm excited to share that with you in a minute. 3 steps to freedom. So step two, schedule and fill your event. So we've spent 8 figures testing ads. I've done this for doctors all over the country, and we know what works. We know how to optimize at scale, and to be able to do it over and over and over again. One of the biggest issues, is when those leads come in. Like I said, it's the inconsistency, the up and down. And we've really mastered the way of being able to keep it more of a consistent run for people. So, just an example, when we go into look at all these different audiences and everything, we just do the math and figure out exactly what type of ecosystem we have to set up for that community. So they become the number one person, the celebrity, the go-to place for regen. And it's not just advertisements for your clinic. It's not just, advertising for your talk. It's much more than that. Ed, did you want to add to that?
Yeah, I just always like when we show this, this is a just so everyone knows what's going on here. This is actually the inside of a Facebook ad account. These are accounts that we're either working on as for our clients or ourselves. And what I just want to point out is look at how many people are in those small little areas. that as hard as you've been working or doing your thing, you've been there for 20 years, 10 years, 30 years, and you're wondering like, well, why don't people know about if more people knew about what we're doing, um, they would choose me. If they knew me, if they met me one on one, or if they experienced us, they would choose us, not less experienced, less qualified people. And what I always love about this is that um, people in pain, people who have problems, it's a moving parade, meaning, um, when you're at the beginning of a year, more people have awareness of their health and whatever. But pain is something that it doesn't depend on the holidays. It doesn't depend on whatever. Like it is a great market to constantly be never endingly promoting and having different creatives and different things going out to the market because you're always going to pick up a different 2 to 3% of the population, which if you do the math on 2 to 3% of 100,000 people, and we're not promising that that would be the number, but that would fill your clinic up without question and keep you busy and consistent and predictable for a really long time.
Definitely. And so that's one of the big things that a lot of people say like, oh, I burn out the area or whatnot. You guys, the hospital parking lots are not empty. The
That's right.
hospital parking lots fill up every single day because more like today, a person couldn't deal with their pain that they've been suffering with for years. There's always new people. There's all, but pain does not go away. Like this is a huge problem. So to think that you burn out an area, that's not it. You've not burnt out the area. There are people in pain around you that need your services. It's just a matter of doing it the right way. So, and Ed, do you want to talk a little bit about these?
Yeah, so I mean these are just ad examples, and so why I'm bringing this up is one of the methods that we'll teach is the interview method, and the reason why we use interviews is because what I found is that naturally people that don't like selling themselves, usually real good experts, people that are highly qualified, love working one-on-one, love getting people out of pain or love treating patients, are they don't like selling, right? That's not why you got into the profession. And so what this allows us to do is utilize interviews to communicate best and then we use them as advertisements. So when they walk in, they know you, they like you, and then even if they show up to your live in person one-to-many workshop, or if they actually come on and they watch you the same way you're watching us right now on Zoom, they feel like they know you more. Now, the one thing I always like to say is one of the biggest issues that people have is our formula is super, super simple. One target market with pain, one proven message, and then trust is created before you walk in the door. And what I mean by that is something that Scott taught me even though I came out of a different, I worked with dental implant docs for a really long time, worked with personal injury attorneys. We always go after one target market with pain. And so when somebody comes in and they say, hey, I can't sleep at night because my shoulder pain. Well, that in and of itself is one advertisement. Like that is one like ad. And Facebook and Instagram is smart enough now to go find people who are looking online for shoulder stuff. It's just unbelievable. It's changed completely. But that's will equip you with all these different I'll call them sub niche or condition specific ads that all drive to the same location and same solution.
Yeah, thanks, Ed. And guys, one of the things that this is one of the things that my mentor has always drilled into me is you want to be in that blue ocean, right? You don't want to be just another regen doctor, just whether you're a medical clinic or a chiro that's built a medical clinic. You need to be the only person doing it in your area in the way that you do it so that you stand out as something different. You've got to make the competition irrelevant. And again, that goes back to what Dan Kennedy was saying is that when you educate the market, you own the market. So you're educating the market, setting yourself up as the one to go to. And so they know why not to go to all the others. And all of a sudden you have a blue ocean that people want to come see you for that reason. So
Hey, yeah, hey
yeah,
Scott, on this, that go back one little bit on that.
yeah,
What's so important on this, if you're like, hey Scott, we've ran ads before, we've generated leads. Well, it takes no talent or skill for me to take your credit card and just go generate leads. Like a 20-year-old who understands plugging in numbers can go generate leads for your business. This is not the same thing as to what you've experienced in the past. This is 1,000% direct response branding, personal branding. And the reason why you're going to differentiate and create trust before they ever meet you is because through your advertisements and then through your one-to-many presentation, again, whether you record it and you host it on your site or you do it in person, and Scott will go more in depth on that later, you're solving problems for them before they get into any office anywhere. And what I mean by that is the problem they're currently facing is they have so many questions unanswered. When people have questions unanswered and they don't know who to trust, they do nothing, or they do nothing most of the time. And so what that means for you is we're going to help you answer and solve problems before they get to you. But this is so important. You got to write this down or at least make note of it. Is if you're not the one capturing that attention, somebody else is, and somebody else is going to do that. And with AI, less qualified, less experienced people can start propagating content and take these leads that should be going to your office and just take them and put them in their clinic. I mean, this is not a joke, but it is totally different than what you've done before. We guarantee it because no one's doing this.
Yeah, love it. So on the third one, having that proven presentation that closes. And again, got to be able to close at the end to get that paid consult. So, like Ed said, anyone can spend your money and buy leads, but you've got to be able to do this the right way so that you don't just get leads and then nothing happens, right? But everything fails if you don't have that presentation that converts. So these are just like some examples of some of the slides in our presentation. But here are the biggest mistakes doctors and people make. And again, it's the teaching too much. It's trying to do too much science and research and all that. You've got to be able to agitate their pain. First of all, you have to know what their pain is, right? And you have to show a solution for that pain. And so many folks I know are teaching just the wrong stuff in their presentation, or where people love the presentation, but they have no motivation to do anything afterwards. And so then you go home with no consults. You just wasted a bunch of money and you're like, oh, this doesn't work, right? So they're not creating the enemy. The enemy is every other option that they have. So whether that's medications, whether it's physical therapy, whether it's everything, it could be Advil and ibuprofen. It could be some kind of like Bengay or Tiger Balm stuff that they put on their knees and shoulders. Like the enemy is everything that's a solution other than you. And so if you're not creating that enemy and then discrediting that
Yeah.
and saying, like, letting them realize why that is not a good thing. And the nuance of this is you can't tell them this. You have to tell stories to get them to say, oh my gosh, what I'm doing is ridiculous. It makes no sense. I have to do something different. If you're not getting them to make that change in their mind on their own, then you can't tell them this. Because if you say your doctor doesn't know what he's talking about, they're going to look at you and be like, oh, this guy's a jerk. And, I'm not listening to anything he says. So you've got to be able to shift their paradigm from medicine and all these other things into the regenerative space. So again, that's one of the things that our perfect presentation does, probably about 1/3 through the presentation. The next thing, the masking the pain, putting it off, causes more damage. And I think it was Tony Robbins that said this, and I'm sure he got it from someone else, and it just, nothing new under the sun. But you got to hurt them before you help them. Nobody does things unless they need to, right? Let's say a guy that has been wanting to change his diet and lose weight and get rid of the dad bod and everything for years, never really did anything, never made it serious. He was maybe dabbling in it, but then all of a sudden he has a heart attack. All of a sudden his world changes, right? Now that there's this pain, I could lose the rest of my life, lose my family's going to lose me. All of a sudden there's pain, all of a sudden they take action, right? So how do you build up that pain with them so they realize, oh my gosh, if I don't do something right now, I'm screwed. Like I have to sign up, and then when they get in their office, I have to do this, or else all of this is going to happen down the road. So this is huge. Most people don't dig into this enough because they're not actually digging into why people really want to get better. Most people, when you say, what's the biggest problem? The pain. I want to get out of pain. It really has nothing to do with that. It's how the pain affects your life. Like the heart attack, look, anyone can go through a heart attack if you recover, but it's the fact that you could die. It's the fact that your family could lose you. It's the fact that now you can't go do the activities that you want to do because you're worried about dropping dead and et cetera, right? Okay, so digging deep with these folks and really getting to the why and attacking those things to build that pain up is crucial. And I guarantee you most people don't do it because it could feel uncomfortable at first when you're keep asking why. You're like the little kid. Why is that happening, right? So, and then the last thing is not practicing like it's the Super Bowl. What do I mean by that? A lot of docs that I share this with, they'll get the presentation, they'll look through it, they'll maybe say it once, and then they'll go try to do a presentation. Or maybe they say it a few times. But I'm a guitar player. The hours I've put into playing guitar to get where I am today, like I didn't start playing Metallica and Pantera by, you know, dabbling with the guitar. I got there by putting in the time and the effort. And if you want to be great at anything, you have to practice. You have to put in the time. And so we really help doctors to figure out how much they have to practice and really getting this thing down, giving them, tips and tricks and things like that of how to really get their presentation dialed in. Here's my 30-minute presentation in the 60 seconds. So if you want to think of, okay, so what's this perfect presentation? What do? First of all, we call out who it's for, right? So everyone in the room knows exactly that they are in the right place at the right time. Then we're going into why it's different and why it's different than everything else they tried. Now, do I tell them this is different than everything you've tried? It's the best. Absolutely not. We're telling stories that get them to come to that conclusion on their own. We agitate the problem. Again, doing it through stories, doing it through different metaphors and things that actually get them to start to think internally why this is important. We challenge them on who they are as a person and how much they care about their health, right? And that's in the close that you're going to learn here in just a second. And really, why can you continue down this path? And can you continue down this path? They really have to be at the point where it's like, I can't continue down this path. I have to do something right now. So letting them off the hook. It's not your fault. And that's one of the things that we do. And again, I keep saying this, it's in the close, but we have to let them know that, look, you've been taught a certain way to fix this. It's not your fault that you're healed here today, but guess what? You now have the power to change it. And we're going to show you how to do that. We attack the enemy, change the paradigm through stories, not directly. We lay out the opportunity, how it's going to help them. And then we show proof, right? What's the proof that this thing actually works? Sharing stories, sharing testimonials. And we do a little bit of research in there, but we're just kind of zipping past it, okay? And then we overcome that financial objection before they come up. One of the things that a lot of people get scared of doing is bringing up objections that people have. So what I like to do is have every objection people have, and I talk about it first. If you talk about it before they ask about it, it's not an objection, it's education. But if they ask it before you answer it, now you're almost like backpedaling to answer their objection, okay? That's a huge point right there. You've got to make sure you're bringing up every objection before they bring it up, because then it's not an objection, it's just education. And then you segue into the close. So let's jump into this close that changed my life. Now, I got this from my mentor, Dan Kennedy. I built all my practices with dinner workshops, okay? So the last 20 years, I've done over 1,000 workshops to build the practices that I built. And it really started taking off when I added this close in here. And I want to share that with you because if you look at this, this is our patient infusion method. This is really my outline for how I run my offices. When I say proper marketing strategy, you're looking at it. This is it. So obviously lead flow is on there. We've got to target the right person. We got to pick the media, right, that matches that person, right? Where are the people that we're going after, right? We're typically dealing with regenerative medicine. It's your 55 plus for the most part, right? For functional medicine, probably 35 plus. You have to know exactly who you're going after. And getting the message right to them. If you don't know exactly who you're going after, you can't have the right message for them, right? This message that we do would not go over well with, young people in their 20s because they're not dealing with the issues, and having the media market message match is key. Um, Retargeting, following up with the leads and in the house list. Marketing, a lot of people don't realize, is actually more of communication after they're in your funnel and in your group. An advertisement is to get them in your funnel and in your ecosystem. Once they're in your ecosystem, that's marketing. And what we want to talk about with people is omnipresence. How are we always there? And it looks like we're the biggest practice around. That's a key part to it. And then engaging them, right? Calling them, texting them. What a lot of people don't realize is the more offers you put out, the more you tell people about what's going on in your practice, the bigger your practice gets. It's very simple, but a lot of people are scared to text, scared to email. Um, if you have good information, you need to be getting it out to people. And then you've got the experience with the seminars, scheduling skills, the objections that I just talked about, the perfect presentation, then the close. If you do everything on there and go up to the close and you blow the close, guess what? Those people never come in your office. And so every part of this is important. It's not like you can do one and ignore all the rest. You have to have the perfect presentation, but you also have to have a close that will get them to come in. And then there's the other things of in the office, the doctor mindset, and all those kinds of things. So the close that I do is based off my mentor, Dan Kennedy. So I heard a close that he did one time, and I heard it, and I'm like, I think I could use this because so Dan, this close that he did was one that was modeled after he would do stadium tours back in the day when Zig Ziglar would do like those big arenas with all those success people, like different politicians and stuff would speak. Dan would be the last one. And he would have to get people to sit down and not leave because no one knew who he was. And they came for all the big names. And he would get people to stay in their seats, give them great information. And then he would do this close at the end and eventually put it on a tape. So, tape back in the day. Um, but this is the close. I'm going to play it for you. And then I'm going to show you how I shifted it over to use it. And I'm going to see if I can get this loud enough for you guys.
I wanted to end this tape by sharing one of my favorite quotes. It's from the classic book, As a Man Thinketh, by James Allen. Men are anxious to improve their circumstances, but are unwilling to improve themselves. They therefore remain bound. That describes most people, including most of your competitors. They all complain about certain parts of their businesses and wish for more income, better clients, easier means of attracting customers, but they are unwilling to learn new and different skills and methods for creating those desired changes. There's the old adage that the definition of insanity is continuing to do the same things the same way, but hoping for different results. My methods literally revolutionize businesses and quickly make business people much more skilled, effective, innovative, competitive, and efficient marketers. If you are already thoroughly and completely happy with the way your business or sales career serves you, with your earnings, with the flow of customers coming to you, with the ease at which you obtain new business, if you are perfectly content with your business, then you should feel free to ignore everything you heard on this tape, as well as the 60-day trial offer, the opportunity to test drive my methods without risk. If you are so content, though, I have to wonder why you listened all the way to this point. So if you are not completely happy and would like to improve some aspect of your business or sales career, your income, and how hard you work to get it, then I urge you not to come all this way, right up to the point of decision, only to turn your back on this guaranteed opportunity. I cannot be fairer in inviting you to try me out free of risk. And I remind you, things don't change unless you change things. My tools can equip you to create whatever change you like in your business. After 20 years of coaching business owners and salespeople in these transformational strategies, I can assure you that you are working too hard to make your living without this information. I hope you'll take action on the impulse to improve your business, income, and life.
So that's the close right there. So I'm just going to point something out here real quick. I heard that close 20 years ago. Now I could have heard that and been like, oh, interesting, right? And think about it like almost like he's selling me. But I didn't. I thought about it like, how could I use that, right? How could I put that into my life? And the funny thing is, he said there at the end, you're working too hard to get the results that you're getting. And literally, this close, and obviously I'm a student of Dan's, but this close became one of the biggest leverage points in my business. So I'm going to show you how I took that and I changed it for regenerative medicine. And here's the thing about it. Many times I teach doctors this close, and they're like, oh, I don't like this part. I don't like that part. I'm going to do this part. I'm going to change that. And they look at it and they're like, Scott, well, that's your close. I can't do it. You're going to see this close and realize I am doing this verbatim from Dan Kennedy. Why would you change something that a guy has sold millions and millions of dollars with sales stuff for him and change it and make it your own when it's already proven? So I took it, and now we've sold millions and millions of dollars of regenerative medicine with it. So let's go through it. Okay, first part. So I went from 30% to 60% plus overnight when I added this, and you're going to see why here. So here's the structure and psychology behind every line. And we can send this out to you guys. You can write it down if you want, but I want you to understand the psychology of this, okay? So he starts off, so I'd like to close tonight with a quote from a classic in one of my favorite books, As a Man Thinketh by James Allen. So why do you do this? This is third-party proof, okay? Third-party proof is very important because when you share something like this, what you're actually sharing is something from an expert, and it's not coming from you. So people just kind of accept it as a proven quote, a famous book, a classic artist, and so it's just accepted, okay? And so that's the whole point that I keep this in here, is because I want to do something that they just take as proof without like, oh, Dr. Scott, you're saying this? Like, nope, James Allen is saying this. The next thing, people who don't change will always suffer. They're going to stay where they are. He says, men are anxious to improve their circumstances, but are unwilling to improve themselves. They therefore remain bound. Okay. So what I'm doing here is I'm starting to let them know that kind of like, if you want change, like you're not going to get it if you stay the same. If you keep doing what you're doing for your pain, things aren't changing. That's the reality. And so that's one of the things that, one of the reasons that we keep that in there. And this is so important to get them to start to understand that, like, okay, all right, I need to change. Um, so it's not for you, but most people, you know them, okay? So he says that describes most people. Many people you know that complain about their health, right? So the reason I say this is, remember I said it can't be their fault. I can't say to them, you're probably like this, or you're here because you haven't made good decisions, right? You can't say that. So I'm saying so many people are like this. Now this gives them a way to be like, oh, it's not me. I'm the guy that changes, right? I'm starting to get them to like start to do some internal thinking about who they are and what type of person they really want to be. So then wishing doesn't work. And they're stuck in the past, right? So they wish for better health, less pain, more mobility, but they're unwilling to try and use new techniques and therapies that are available to create that desired change. And of course, what are we bringing to them? We are bringing to them a new technique and therapy that can create that desired change in them, right? So we're saying the people that don't change wish for better health and they don't do this, okay? There's the old adage, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, but hoping for different results. What I typically do in my talks with this is I say, there's that old adage, the definition of insanity, it's doing the same thing over and over, and what is it? And then everybody answers. So I kind of get them involved in it, and we're kind of like conversing. And just one note, I don't have this on slides. I'm just doing this for like, I've had this memorized. Okay. This is the offer is up on the screen and I'm just doing this close. So we're doing that with the old adage. We kind of get them involved and they say, yeah, like you can't do the same thing over and over again. Excellent. Umbilical tissue allografts, MSCs, whatever treatment you're doing, are revolutionizing medicine and changing the lives of millions of people around the world, just like you. Now, This is the biggest thing that helped me with my whole poverty complex. Most doctors get nervous when you get to the end and you're kind of like, do you want to sign up? Sign up. Like, hey, who wants to sign up? Do you want to schedule? Do you want to schedule? That's where you start to get this weirdness inside. The best way in the world to be able to deal with that and just literally eliminate it is to go negative and push them away. So if you're already thoroughly and completely happy with your health, the way medicine served you, your results and mobility, then you should feel free to ignore everything that we talked about tonight, this offer, and feel free to ignore, this whole system. Okay? So you're telling them, look, and one of the things I'll put in here too sometimes is if you wake up every morning, you don't have pain, you feel great, then this isn't for you. But guess what? Obviously they're there because they have pain, right? So this is a way that you can just be like, look, don't come in if you don't have pain. This isn't for you, right? That takes all the pressure off you and the anxiety of being able to ask for the order. So now that we are past that, now we can go in and ask for the order because we said, look, if this isn't for you, it's not for you. But those of you who it is, let's dive into this, right? So if you're so content, I have to wonder why you made the effort to come here tonight or to watch this webinar all the way to the end, that type of thing. So if you aren't content and you'd like to improve some aspect of your health, your quality of life for years to come, then I urge you, don't come all the way up to this point of decision only to turn your back on this guaranteed opportunity. See, if it's right for you, then you're risking giving a $40 donation to a great organization to help children. So what I did is I would have my normal price of like $250, $200 for a consult, and I would drop it down. I'd drop it all the way down to $40 for someone who will schedule in the next 2 to 3 days. And what I did is I used that as a fundraiser for Make-A-Wish Foundation. And so then I took that, and then every quarter we would send a check off to Make-A-Wish Foundation of everything that we raised from our seminars. You don't have to do it that way. You can do this as you're just risking $40 to see if this is going to be something that's going to change your life forever, right? You can modify it for you in that sense, but that's the concept of it. You need to eliminate the risk of coming in and doing this. Now, I'll remind you, things don't change unless you change things, right? This is putting that personal responsibility on them. You've got the power. This is all in your hands. You can change your health tonight. You can do it. And so then we talk about the power of what we do. Tissue allograft procedures have the power to create whatever change you want in your health and your lifestyle more than anything available today. And so this is where if you're not passionate about what you're talking about, there's going to be a huge problem. No one's going to be more excited about what you're doing than you. Okay? So if you're not bringing it, if you're up there monotone, if you're just kind of going through the motions, like no one's going to want it, right? You've got to bring it, man, and you got to be excited. And if you're not excited, you got to sell something else. Like this should be the thing that you are pumped out of your mind about, okay? After the 15 years of treating patients, I've never seen anything this powerful, this natural, this safe, and this effective, right? So I'm tying my story into it, my disbelief. Earlier on in my talk, I talk about, I was so surprised that when I saw people doing tissue allograft procedures and using stem cells and exosomes and all these things, I couldn't believe the results. Like it sounded too good to be true. So I'm referencing back to me talking about that in the talk.
So that.
And then this is literally the pinnacle of my calling and of my practice, taking the power that made the body to heal the body, right? And so we do that at the end. It's kind of a callback. I've been talking about that through the talk. So this is kind of a callback and bringing it to the end. And then I can assure you that you're working too hard to get the results that you desire, right? We have to make it easy. We have to make it simple. And guess what? Regenerative medicine injections are pretty dang easy, right? So I hope you'll take action tonight on the impulse to improve your quality of life, your energy, your independence, your opportunity to give of yourself to others. And so the reason I do this is because a lot of people, it is quality of life. A lot of people, it's just energy. Some people are thinking about losing their independence, their ability to drive, their ability to walk around. They can't even go to the grocery store, they hurt so bad. Or some people, their whole thing in life is volunteering, being able to go to church and help at the soup kitchen or whatever. Like they're miserable because they can't help others. So this is a lot of psychology pushed down into this one quote right here. And then this is my callback, and really, I call it putting a ribbon on it. Okay. So have you ever gotten to the end of a talk and everyone's just kind of like staring at you? I'm telling you, when I do this and the way that I say it, everybody claps, everyone's happy, and well, my people are already signing people up. Like that, people are like, "Hey, come over here. Hey, come over here." Right? This gets people emotional. This whole thing. So if you two believe that the power that made the body is the power that can heal the body, and that it's better to regenerate than to operate, then go ahead and fill out that form that you have. Schedule your appointment with Jim, and we look, and he has our schedule here. We've carved out times tomorrow and the following day to meet with our doctors, and we look forward to speaking with you individually in our office. You guys have a great night. And then that's when the applause happens, and that's when the calendar starts filling up. So that's the close. So I do the whole offer, and then I do this whole thing. They've all got like opportunity forms to fill out and say that I want to do it. And then our person's going around and they're scheduling while this is going on, because this is where you get them emotional. The worst thing you can do is get to the end, just present an offer and say, send your person around bugging people to sign up. That's why my close rate doubled plus. Okay. So that is the close. And if you take nothing else from this, if you do talks, if you do online talks, add this. Make it your own, but don't change it too much. You saw how I literally did it verbatim from Dan Kennedy. I'm not changing something that sold millions of dollars. This has sold millions of dollars, and I want you guys to be able to take it and use it too, the same way. So, Ed, did you want to add anything to the close there?
Well, I think I would just take you up on like just be as verbatim and literal as like if Scott has, I mean, we literally have clients doing like millions and millions a month doing this presentation. So I would not change it. I would make it your own, but not change it. No, it's brilliant. It's brilliant, Scott. It's really, really outstanding.
Good stuff, guys. So, what you can expect with the things that we have for you, like obviously the close is part of it. That's one little section. Like our system that we do is like every little piece has something in there like that where it's like, holy crap, this is amazing. Obviously, you want the presentation. The close is part of it. You want to know how to deal with staff and do all that kind of stuff. But really getting those paid consults where you're flipping them from prospect to customer, and they're coming in, excited and emotional and ready to go. So today, obviously, we covered why freedom comes from leverage. One to many is the way to go to getting better patients, cash flow, and time, and doing it the right way. Don't go one to many with a bad presentation and no close, because that's going to be painful. But all you need to do to start is that perfect presentation, a way to fill your event, and really a team trained and aligned so that you guys are moving your mission forward. You've got that moonshot goal that you're like, holy crap, I don't know how I'm going to do it, but I'm going to get there. Maybe I'm not doing $3 million a month, but can I do $1 million a year in regenerative medicine? Absolutely. Tons of people have done it with this program. So your decision is you can do it on your own. Again, like we are not like heavy salespeople or anything like that. We just want to give you the information. And if you're like, Dr. Scott, I'd love to do what actually Ed's the one that introduced me to time collapsing. And that's literally just taking, I could do this in 10 years or I could do it in 10 months. How do I want to do it? It took me, yeah, Ed's book, Time Collapsing, is awesome. But the fact of the matter is that if you know the right, like if I would have had that close earlier from Dan Kennedy, my life would have been so different before then. It's like little nuances in life and little things that you learn can change your whole life forever. And so take what you've learned, implement it, and look, compound on the wisdom of us and the testing of everything that we've done. So we love to help you with it. And time collapse for you so you can take 10 years and put it into 10 months. Don't do it over 20 years like me. And again, we've trained so many docs in this. Guys are killing it with our program. And so let me just kind of tell you, I've got like 6 points here on the system. It's the 8-figure regen profit marketing system. It's really licensing rights. You get everything of ours. It's all of our ads, all of our
Well,
posts.
hey, Scott, can I slow you up a little bit?
Sure.
So this is like a segue, just so everyone knows that. Like, so if you've gone through all this, you're like, how do I put it together? This is a lot. Well, first of all, it's really not a lot. Like it's a lot from its leverage, but it's super simple. And so I really pushed Scott. I when I heard and we've spent a lot of time together over the last year, and I've known him for over 20 years. I was like, dude, why are you not helping docs and functional medicine clinics and wellness places that do stem cells and other regenerative marketing? Why are you not giving them the opportunity to license and utilize the same materials, like literally copy paste it over, and you give them that opportunity? And so Scott has created what's called the Regenerative Medicine Profits Boardroom, where you get access, and then I'm going to let him take back over. But I just want to make sure you understand, like you're now being given an opportunity to just replicate the same marketing and systems that Scott has. So number one, and then Scott, go ahead and you can rock it out from here.
Sweet, man. Thanks. Yeah, so we have what's called the regenerative medicine boardroom, and really what we're doing is, I lead people through how to do this, right? I lead people through, they get all of our information. We've got the PowerPoint, obviously, the marketing, so you can run for your first, if you're ready for a webinar or ready for a presentation, you can do it right away, but you can also learn it all. It's all there, all my trainings. I've trained doctors for years, and all my videos from training doctors over years at events that doctors paid a lot of money to go to, you guys have access to all those things immediately. So there's nothing left out from what I've ever trained people on.
Hey
Um,
Scott, let me
yeah,
say something on this. So this is really important, everybody. Can you go back to the PowerPoints really quickly?
yep.
So Scott and I are obviously using PowerPoints right now, but when we'll show you that you literally could present on your screen, and the PowerPoint could be this big on your screen, and you could read, you're going to get the full script, that you could literally be staring at the camera reading the script, but your audience only sees the PowerPoint and your video. So why I'm sharing that with you is when he says make it your own, you do in the script of like who you are and your stuff. But if you like everything that he provides you, you're literally going to record it, and it's going to be a proven world-class sales presentation that is proven to convert. It's that simple.
Yeah, definitely. It's a good point because I'll say even introverts like me can do this because I hate being on camera. It's probably the biggest thing that Ed and I talk about is that, like, oh, I don't want to be online. I don't want my face everywhere. Like, I'm just so private and whatever. But anyway, anyone can do
But
it.
you can't just on that. That's you're not the only person. You can't make the impact. This is very important for everybody watching. You can't make the impact by being
A hermit.
invisible. You just can't. Like it's not even
Yep.
about it's not it's like, hey, I want to help more people, but your behavior is not doing that. And
Yep.
so if they knew you, liked you, and trusted you, if they met you, then we're in a world where it's our obligation and our number one job to do this. And just to hit that harder, because we have a nice audience here of people, is like you're no one is going to come along and find you. There is no, I remember when I wrote my first book when I was like 25, I thought a publisher was going to show up at my door and turn me into the next Chicken Soup for the Soul best-selling author. And then you get to peek behind the curtain and you realize, oh, it's our job to let the world know about us. And we do that through marketing and advertising and selling. So that is why that's so very important.
And just I'm going to throw something in. Mark Victor Hansen said, who did Chicken Soup for the Soul, they did 5 promotions a day for that book, no matter what happened. They're promoting 5 times a day. How many doctors out there can say they're promoting in 5 different ways a day to get people into their office? That's what this is all about. So obviously the automated one-to-many trust, authority, and sales funnel. So this is our proven webinar lunch and learn framework that really turns those strangers into warm leads, into friends, into family without having to sell. And
Right.
one per
Let me jump in here real quick. This is super important. Um, because it's no longer like the reason why one to many works is because there's some people who are like, hey, I just want to talk. I'm going to book my appointment, come into your office and meet with you knees to knees, right? But there's so many people in the world who don't want to do that because they're afraid of having a bad experience and being sold,
Yeah,
right? And so by having the one to many leverage, you literally can have thousands of people watch one presentation and they get to know you like you trust you. And what's so great about this, if they're not qualified, they sort and filter themselves out of your ecosystem. The reason why I share that is because your team, like, because this is another objection people have, is like, well, now I got to train my team. No, 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 no. Your team's going to love this because it's going to remove the awkwardness of having somebody coming in who's just flat out not qualified.
yeah, yeah. Good point, man. Really good point. So obviously, this presentation's done a lot. We've kind of talked a lot about that. This is one thing that I always did every year, and a lot of times I would do it quarterly. We'll send you a 10-minute training that we've put together, show you how to create cash surges in your office, and you literally could
Yep.
do it over the next few days.
Yep.
And it would any investment you would put in us, you could get that paid for right away. What did I just say about Chicken Soup for the Soul? Those guys were doing 5 promotions a day to get their book out there. And that's why it became the biggest selling book in the world ever behind the Bible. It's literally number two, the Chicken Soup for the Soul books. So we're going to show you how you can do that and do it on a fairly regular basis with your patients still loving you and super
Right.
excited about it. But it's super fast way to get cash. Most people never even think about it. So we've got the high ticket patient conversion system. Again, that you saw that whole outline of the conversion system. We provide that online training for you guys so that you know exactly how to convert with confidence and get those patients who stay paying refer. And you and you can do it like feeling good without the anxiety and the selling and all that kind of stuff that everyone worries about. Do it in a fun, exciting way. So that's part of it. The 12-month marketing calendar. Again, promotions. Never miss a promotional opportunity for your internal patient database. That's what marketing really is. Marketing is speaking with your current database and all your prospects that have already come into your ecosystem. So, emails, text messages, social posts that just swipe and deploy. What did I do with Dan Kennedy? I swiped his clothes, I
That's
deployed
right.
it, and it changed my life. So, 87% of practices miss profit every month because they don't do this. And their access, last thing, access to myself and my mastermind, the boardroom. Again, you can try to do it on your own, and that's fine. It's all good. But as you know, speed happens when you have a mentor and a model, and really a tribe of like-minded people. So I have a mentor. I'm in a group that has nothing to do with medicine. It's business people. There's been 15 to 20 of us for the last 8 years that I still pay for and go quarterly to my mentor to learn how to scale a business. And it's with people that honestly we go just to hang out and learn from each other because we learn so much. And we just kind of wanted to replicate that and give you a place where you can talk to like-minded people that have moonshots. You don't have the people that are like, insurance sucks and my location sucks, and there's complaining about all this crap. You're gonna get winners and people who want to win and are willing to put in the time, the effort, the practice to get where they want to be, to gain their freedom back, have a successful practice. That's who we want in our program. We don't want
Right.
people that are going to dabble and like, oh, like I did one talk, it didn't work, etc. Whatever. Like we're gonna be there together to help each other get across the finish line. The worst way to do this is on an island. The worst way to grow practice is doing it by yourself, feeling alone. I've been there. I did that back in the day, and it was not a good way. Once you start meeting with people who are smarter than you, have other really other qualities, and kind of like their superpower, right?
Yep.
All of a sudden, you start to learn from each other, and you learn how you can increase your practice and everything. So, what to do now? Ed, do you want to kind of talk about
Yeah, I
just how?
do. Yeah, yeah, super excited about this. So, um, Maggie, can you throw that link in? Or she already did. Yeah, you threw it in there. And then what's great is this. Check it out. So if you've been on here and you're like, I want to lock in a spot, two like quick announcements and two little things to just encourage you to take action today. We can only onboard 5 people every month, right? Because it's pretty, we want to make sure you're up running, rocking and roll. If you have an agency that's already working with you, that's great. We could just give you the assets and you can deploy it. What you're going to do here before we answer a few questions is click on that link. You'll put down $1,000 deposit that could will go to your boardroom membership, assuming that you, Scott, agree that, hey, you qualify, number one. Number two is you want to continue with it. The economics and the investment of it is it's 2 grand a month. That's what the licensing rate is. That's what being a part of the mastermind and getting the coaching and the mentoring is. And if you put the $1,000 down, you're like, blah, 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 it's not for me, or it's whatever it might be. That's not a problem. And we have the right to do that as well. That's number one. So if number two, you are in and we're going to get you up running, get you the 50K cash surge in 10 minutes, then we'll just collect another $1,000 and then you'll be put on a every 30-day monthly plan. Here's kind of one of the things I want to let you know though. You're not locked in for life, nothing like that. After 90 days, if you're like, I'm not getting the results, I don't think this is for me, we have a love it or leave it guarantee, which means you can exit out of the alliance in the boardroom. You just can't continue to use all Scott's marketing materials. Like that's what you're paying for. That's what you're investing in, and you're getting the mentoring and the coaching from that. So if you have a question, I want to address 2 or 3 questions that I know are going to come up. If you have a question on this, you can post it in the group, or we could bring you on. Just raise your hand, and we'll do that. Now, I want to always bring up a couple quick notes that is easy to overlook. You came here obviously to see how Scott's clients are getting over 7-figure months, and even the more expectedly 50 to 100K a month if you're a local practice or clinic. And the temptation is to be like, well, I'm just going to go do this on my own, then maybe I'll join. It's always the biggest mistake. And I'm going to tell you why. If you ever watch Game of Thrones, at the end where the two sisters, it's like season 6 or 7. Scott, did you ever watch Game of Thrones?
I didn't. I can't deal with gore. I watched the first episode. And I was
Okay.
done.
Yeah, when the dad's head got chopped off.
Yeah.
So anyhow, uh, that's why Scott loves Disney so much. He goes to Disney route. I'm going in there. Maggie, if they could pop them in, I'd rather get them live right now and versus sending. Oh, because they can't make comments. That's fine. I see what you're saying. We could always unmute people if necessary. But at the end of it, it's like 7 seasons. Everyone dies. They all get killed. Parents killed. They lose the castle. Then they go fight all the cat, and they're back. They're back. They reclaim the castle, but now they're adults, and it's snowing, and they're sitting there. And the one sister says to the other sister, "Remember what Father always said? She's saying we got to stick together. Is that in winter, when the cold wind blows and the snow falls, the lone wolf dies, but the pack survives." The lone wolf dies while the pack survives. And what I found is being an entrepreneur, we all had to be rugged individuals to get up and running and get our to do it. But there's got to be a time where if you're like, look at like, hey, I'm not getting the results, big picture that I want. Well, it's because you don't have a tribe, and the next part is you don't have the right mentor who's already carved the path. And this is why I always bring up this story is the one of Michael Phelps. Is that Michael Phelps's coach would poke holes in his goggles and during training, and he would always screw with his equipment. And the reason why was because the coach knew that there was going to be adversity that would come up that Michael just has to learn how to deal with. And what's funny about it is that so he trained with the water coming in his eyes, and the record-breaking I think it was a relay race or it was a 4x something where he had to change. I just remember it was a combination. It wasn't just one thing straight ahead. Is literally in the first 50 meters, his goggles broke, and there's pictures of it. I got a picture of it where the goggle is hanging like under his ear, and he's swimming to win. without his goggles, really, it's like totally. But here's the thing: why did that happen? Because his mentor was able to see around the corner and knew that one of these days, all this goofy crap that I'm doing him to prepare him, that's messing with him, is going to equip him for what's around the corner. And the fact of the matter is that a lot of times people are wondering, like, hey, if I only had more clarity on how it's going to happen, then I would join things or then I would do it. But the reality is when you do new things, you don't have the clarity because you haven't done it yet. And I always say to people, it's like, well, that's why you got to get a model and a mentor because they've done it. They you borrow their confidence, you borrow their experience, you borrow all those things, and you have a really a great opportunity to just go ahead and leapfrog by borrowing all of Scott's experiential wisdom. And what's also cool is we're testing things every single month with our existing boardroom members in the club. And I mean, one of Scott's biggest clients did over 3 million, a month and a half ago, and they're launching big here in January right now. So you get to borrow the wisdom on that. And we're always testing new things. So wanted to hit those 2 points. I don't know if anyone wanted to unmute themselves and have a quick question. I see we have like James Ross, Roll, um, Billy. We have more people coming in there. Or Maggie, if you got one that you'd like me to address or Dr. Scott address, that'd be amazing. Oh, yeah, that's a great question. So, do we run all the ads? We can help you get set up and running on the first month of ads. And then if you decide to work with our recommended team after the first month, there's a small fee. But what I could tell you, it's not as expensive as going to another agency that's just going to spend your money. And I could also tell you that they are well equipped in running the lunch and learns, the dinners, the virtual on-demand trainings that sell stem cells. So that's a really important thing. Um, Another great question. Does this work for hey, we're going big in the peptides and other services within your practice and your clinic? Scott, do you want to address that? I mean, I can answer that, but I think you can answer as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's, we're actually coming up pretty soon. We're doing an event in Tampa in February. And one of the guys that is coming is he does this online with functional medicine. So, yes, functional medicine, peptides. You guys, this is psychology. It's just like think of Dan Kennedy's clothes. That was for sales and marketing. I took it and just changed it to
Yep.
regenerative medicine. The first thing I changed it to was chiropractic. And then when I started doing regenerative medicine, I changed it to regenerative medicine. All this stuff is super easy just to flip over to the other. So yeah, peptides, functional medicine, you name it, you can do it with all of them.
And you know what's awesome is that another differentiator is let me ask you guys a question, all the attendees, or if you watch this on a on recording, let me ask you a question. When you go to a workshop or when you go to a seminar, a conference, right, Scott? Like we've all gone to the conferences and we've gone to conferences where we don't know the speakers, right? Who's done that? It's at every conference. What is your assumption when somebody announces the next speaker on stage?
They're going to sell me something.
Well, okay. No, I was going a little differently here, Scott. It's pretty good. No, yeah, they're probably going to sell you, but they're also going to sell you on. No, you're assuming like if there's a keynote speaker or somebody on stage, or you're assuming they actually know what they're talking about.
Right, yeah.
If Oprah interviews somebody or somebody's on a news station and they're being interviewed, you assume they actually know what they're talking about. That's how your consumers do that to the 10 times, like 100 times that. Why? Because guess what? Nobody does it. Nobody does it. Like you may see the marketing because you're in the marketing algorithm now, right? So you're saying, oh, well, people are offering me to go to webinars, so everybody's doing it. I'm letting you know that my wife has not attended a webinar for 3 years. When my daughter was sick, she attended webinars. Does that make sense? So when people are in the like the pain, you want to be the person that's saying, "Hey, um, join my free lunch and learn, join my free webinar or workshop online workshop how to get out of pain without medications or whatever, blah, 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 with regenerative medicine. And then you have a proven system to back that up. I mean, that's just really put you in the blue ocean. So, um, again, so here's the options. You can put down a deposit today, and we'll get you on a fast start call and make sure that we're on the same page with your goals. We really want to just make sure when we get on that call that your vision of what you'd like to accomplish um, is in alignment with how we help people. That's very, very important. Okay. We also want to make sure that you're not somebody that gets on the call and says every coach you've ever dealt with or mentor has sucked. And because that usually is an indicator of the person jumping on the call, not the mentor. Like success leaves clues, but so does constantly, not liking people you've worked with. We only work with cool people that want to be givers, not takers, and want to contribute to the whole boardroom. That is the only way you're going to really get the most benefit out of working with everybody. Of course, you're going to get patients right away. But there's nothing's perfect. There's always, small problems that you gotta, work together to solve. Um, and so that'll happen pretty quickly. Scott, I know the weather in Tampa is really cold all the time, all year. So when people register, we could probably get them on a call with you in the next 48 hours, 72 hours, because we only take 5 a month. So we do that on purpose. Is there anything else you want to share, Scott, before we wrap it up with everybody?
No, I mean, just, I the boardroom is kind of like a thing that I get to do now that I've been able to start some businesses that I don't have to be involved with a lot. And so honestly, it was through Ed kind of bugging me like, dude, you need to help other people with this. And so that's really where this came from. I hadn't even planned to really start this, but it's always been a passion of mine. I used to run quarterly events, and there's nothing that fires me up more than helping other doctors grow their practice. And really selfishly, I get to help all these patients through you. And so that's really what gets me going and gets me excited, and helping you get the revenue you want and the freedom you want. My biggest thing was freedom. I was just working around the clock. It was miserable. And I love helping doctors really find leverage points, focus points to get the freedom and the lifestyle they want. So
Yeah.
if it seems like something you want to do, I want to be the guy to help you.
Fantastic, fantastic. I see we have a couple left. If you have a question, we'll hang out for the next few minutes if you got it. Otherwise, no, not now, Maggie. But great question. Oh, that was to just me. Ha. But yeah. All right, cool, everybody. So you can head right there. It says regen-profits.com/invite. We'd love to see you over there. If you have questions, Maggie put in there too. I mean, partners at regenprofits.com. And we appreciate you being on here. And thanks again, Dr. Scott, as always.
Yeah, thank you, Ed. Thanks, everyone. See you guys.